Can we just take a few moments to appreciate how competent the bad guys of this series are? I mean, to the whole commander looking at the body and all that after what Sugimoto apparently did, to also seeing Hijikata, knowing the locations of the goons sitting behind the wall and ready to attack them, I'm just like, yo, just seeing how competent these characters are makes me really appreciate Golden Kamuy. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like competent villains are a rarity. I mean, one of the recent examples would be, Kokuku that came out like a season back. But I mean, it's still nice and refreshing to have villains that are not brain dead and just like letting people get away for the sake of getting away. And I know that technically the commander let Sugimoto get away, but there is a reason for it, which I will get into. I'm just very happy that the villains are very competent, they're able to analyze the situation, and they're not just going to fall flat onto their face and let the, good guys just walk all over them because, said good guys. The commander of this episode, what really surprised me was that once Sugimoto apparently planned his escape, he was getting away and all that, the commander went back to the corpse to look at the twins' body to see what was going on. He analyzed the entirety of the body. He looked at the fingers, how he was slashed, and how his other hand wasn't hurt at all, but for some reason the way the slash was done, it was just very weird. And then on top of that, you had it to where there was blood on his belt, on the underside of his belt. And when he looked inside, the guts of the dude were just completely removed, which Sugimoto used to kind of fake like he was hurt. So when you look at these individual scenes, it shows that this dude is incredibly intelligent. He's able to understand what's going on, and he's definitely not a leader for the sake of just being a leader. He is a really cool character to be able to come up with stuff like that, figure out what Sugimoto is trying to plan, especially when he got on the horse and started chasing after Sugimoto, and when the horse got shot, the man did a literal barrel roll and started running, continued to run and all that, which I'm just like, yo, did this man just legit, he knew his horse went down, and he continued to run like it was nothing? Like, that's what really surprised me, because usually with scenes like that, when there's like a chase scene, usually if the villain's like main vehicle or whatever is, taken out, they just crash and they're done. They're not going to catch up anymore. But the man was legit running, and then he pulled out his gun and he was about to attack Sugimoto, but then he's like, nah. He had Sugimoto in his sights, and the reason why he said nah was because he knows that Sugimoto and his entire group is way better at getting the tattoos, which makes sense, because, I mean, they've already proven that they're able to collect many tattoos and be very effective about it. And so he's like, you know what? Let's let them do the work for us. Let's let them do all the work, and then we'll come in and snatch it once everything is said and done. Which is very smart, because, I mean, instead of them having conflict and going at each other back and forth throughout the entirety of the series, he's just gonna wait. And he's like, you know what? I'll play the long game. I'll just wait until they collect everything, and then I'll go in for the steal and grab everything. That's kind of what he wants to do. So I do appreciate that. That's a layer to his character that shows that he is not completely dumb. He is definitely a good character that, can analyze and understand what's happening, especially with how he knew that Sugimoto had a group. That is what really surprised me. The man was able to deduce that he's like, oh, Sugimoto, or Sugimoto's group. He knew that Sugimoto had to have someone with him to do all the things he did in this episode. So that also shows that he knows Sugimoto has partners, regardless of what happened to the horse. Now, let's talk about the tattoos as well. So, the commander was also wearing the tattoos all over his body, which once again shows another level of, competence from him, because he's not someone that's just leaving the main central items that, the characters need out in the open to get stolen. He is actually keeping them on his body, on his person, for nobody can grab them. So, the only way you're really going to get a hold of those items, or the map, is by getting rid of him, which is going to be very hard after what we have seen displayed already just with this episode. So, once again, just very impressed, very happy with the villain. And that's not even getting into, Hijikata, which, oh my god, like, look, the man just, he radiates just epic and hype. Like, the man's super hype. Just seeing the way he's designed and the way he carries himself. That's not even counting the voice actor of him. And just seeing how he was able to understand that it was a trap he was walking into, and he realized he was about to get shot by the dude's goons, and he took him down and all that. I'm like, yo, like, that's impressive as well. So, these two guys, just the way they're being, written, I know that there's probably going to be a clash between them. There's just only a matter of time until Hijikata and the commander have a clash, and then Sugimoto's probably going to become a part of it, because there's like 3 factions right now that's doing their own thing for the map, and Hijikata, he wants to actually create a new capital. He wants to make a new Hokkaido and all that, so I like that. I really like his objective. It's not just about the gold, his greed or whatever. He wants to create a new country. So, getting into the other details of this episode, there's a lot of good scenes, serious and comedy moments besides the villains, and I just want to talk about the serious stuff before I get into the comedy. So at the end of the episode, we're introduced to this new character called Nihei? Nihei. I think that's how you say his name. He is introduced to be someone that could take down bears like nothing. He can legit just destroy an entire, like, bear population in an area because he's just that good at being a bear hunter. But on top of that, he only carries 1 bullet on him at a time. This is a bad and a epic thing at the same time, because this does let us know that if the man does miss his shot, he's done. GG, it's over. But this also puts into where he's always on a tightrope. He always has this tension, this stress welling up within him, because he knows for a fact that if he misses, it's over. He is not getting back up. We've already seen what a bear can do in this series, especially if we go back a couple episodes. So because of that, we know for a fact that if the man ever did miss, he's dead. But that also shows that this man is very skilled to be known as this legendary bear hunter that can wipe out a bear population in an area with just a single bullet each time he goes out to hunt a bear. So the man is scary powerful, and I do wonder, you know, how he's going to play a part in the future. I mean, we know for a fact he's going to probably wanting to go after, you know, Asurpa's, you know, wolf and, you know, Rector or whatever. We know for a fact, you know, he's probably going to get hunted. And that's technically probably going to create a 4th faction. So, there's technically 4 teams right now. You have the whole team with the bear hunter, you have, you know, Hijikata, then you have the commander, and then you have Sugimoto and his group. So, there's technically 4 groups, you know, doing their own thing. But the new group and all that with Nihei, technically they're not really going after the gold. They're just wanting to hunt the wolf. So, we'll see where that one's going to go. But getting into the comedy, though, of this episode, oh my god, the Escape King and how he slithered in through the bars towards Sugimoto was disturbing. It was really disturbing. Like, the sound effect of that scene, like the wet, gloopy sound effect when the man slithered in, and just the way his attire was, I'm like, oh my god. Like, it was just a disturbing scene, but it just made me appreciate how this series can go from some very serious stuff to comedic scenes, and it doesn't clash. It doesn't really remove the serious element to the show, which I appreciate. I already went into this in my last week's episode review, so I'm not going to get back into that. But, other great scenes, we have it to where, you know, Asurpa, she actually manages to eat miso for the first time. And it was a very good step forward for her character, because what we've been seeing already displayed since episode 1 is that Sugimoto is someone that's been kind of integrating into Ainu culture. He's been slowly, you know, incorporating certain things like hina, or the way he, like, you know, puts the, you know, chopsticks and stuff around him, or different gifts around him and all that to, you know, praise, you know, his spirit. You know, we've already seen how he's trying to change. He's getting a little bit more in-depth with Ainu culture. And he's been doing new things that he's never done before. While, you know, Asurpa, she hasn't really done that yet. She hasn't really displayed that yet throughout the series, and this was the first time we really saw her take a step forward to do something that was completely cultural shock. Like, it was something completely different that she's never done before. With her, you know, eating the miso that she was very set against not wanting to touch, that lets her know that she's starting to open up. She wants to find out more about regular, you know, culture, of Japan's culture, which is nice to see. So she is changing just like Sugimoto is changing. They're both introducing their culture, and they're both developing as the series goes on. Which, by the way, that facial expression she made was absolutely hilarious. Oh my god. I love the facial expressions in this show. It's pretty fantastic, I'm not gonna lie. But, okay, so also the wolf scene, when, you know, the meat was on Sugimoto's face, and the wolf was just looking at the meat like he was just like, he's looking at it like he wants to say, I chuckled, because you have it where Sugimoto and Asurpa, they're having this serious convo between each other, and it's just like, things are getting real, but then you see the wolf just eyeing the meat and all that like it wants, and I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. That's technically what a dog, wolf, or an animal people would do. They would look at the food even if there's something serious going on. So that made me also laugh as well. It was a perfect blend between comedy and serious moments for that scene. Now, one other thing I do want to talk about is the fact when it comes to this episode, I have to say that, the art and animation definitely has improved a lot since the first episode. I can definitely see that. Because, I mean, number one, just the way that the series has been these recent episodes, I can see that they're putting a lot of effort into it. The entire production team that is working on Golden Kamuy are definitely doing a good job. I mean, obviously there is some CGI here and there, especially with the bear in this episode. But like I've already said, that's not enough to ruin a series, personally for me. And I think, overall they're handling it pretty well. And from what I've heard from manga readers, like a couple of my friends that are manga readers, they've told me that the series is being done pretty freaking well. Like, in terms of adaptation-wise for a seinen of all things, it's being done pretty well. The only thing that's been changed is, like, very minor scenes and some censorship from what I know, especially with, Sugimoto's face, apparently, when he had, these sticks through his cheeks, in this episode, which that's what I want to get into. Like, yo, my boy, Sugimoto, you're sitting there riding on a horse and all that, trying to get away, and you're having these, like, sticks in your freaking cheeks. Like, dude, just pull them out, please, for the love of God. Like, they were really irritating me, because I'm just like, how could you just leave those things in your cheek? I mean, I would have, like, already plucked him out while I was riding on the horse or whatever. I just don't know why anyone would want to keep those in his cheeks, just because of how painful it most likely is. But maybe the reason why he kept them in is because of blood loss, I'm just going to assume. Because, I mean, it's kind of like how an arrow is. Like, if an arrow goes into your body, you don't just pull it out and all that. You usually break it, and then you try to figure out a way to pull it out from the other side. Because if you try to pull out an arrow with a tip like this, it's just going to shred your, flesh even more than it already did. So, I guess it might be like that. Maybe he was keeping the arrow in, or the sticks in, into his cheeks because blood. But even then, though, just like, oh my God, I don't know how you could have self-control with something like that. But that's about it when it comes to this week's episode of Golden Kamuy. Pretty good episode. I loved it. I cannot wait to see more. And this series is absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to lie, I'm probably going to read the manga. And if I, read ahead, please forgive me and all that, but, it's a pretty fun series. I've had a lot of fun so far, watching the anime every week. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Chibi out.